really, really hard, and they execute the system, and that's what it's all about.
Yes, sir.
Trust.
He's pretty
Big trust. Big trust, baby.
Hey, yes, sir. Right on cue. Hey, right on cue. Hey, let me.
We're back at long last on the Jumbo Set podcast. It is Tuesday, August 6th, 6:12 p.m. My name is Jake Louque, and I'm joined, how long has it been? Like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, by Gentle Spen Crenshaw. How we doing, pal? Nice little impromptu hiatus there that we did. How you feeling? Feeling refreshed? Talk some football? I know you're ready.
Yeah, I'm perfectly ready. The smell of August, the smell of the fresh cut grass, the smell of, I haven't smelled any, but I can hear it in the distance sometimes. The hissing of the spray paint through the little walkie spray painter. I can hear it. I know it's here. We've got camp underway. We've got fight videos. We've got rookies making plays on freaking Dov Kleiman's page. We've got it all. So football has returned. The Baltimore Ravens, preseason game coming up here against the fighting Philadelphia Eagles at M&T Bank Stadium, not too far away. So football is upon us. The time is here. Summer has, I don't want to say come and gone. Summer's not really done here until October, but we're deep into August. The humidity has swayed. Boy, oh boy, was it hot as hell about 3 weeks ago for like a week and a half. And then now it's just humid. We got that nice Maryland humidity kicking in. Feels right. I know all the high schools are fired up and have their two-a-days and are, having their fun too. So it's the best time of the year. It's pre-football, fantasy draft, all that good stuff. And we're back. We're ready to rock and roll. We had an awesome year last year and saw the Ravens ultimately come a little bit close, just one game short of making it to the big dance or to the big game. And yeah, we're ready to keep going. So how are you feeling?
Feeling good. Did you watch any of the Hall of Fame game?
I actually did not watch any of it.
I didn't watch 1 second of it. I'm pretty sure it got cut short due to weather.
Yeah, I saw something on Twitter.
Something happens with this game every single year. I remember the one year they didn't even play it. They were like an hour away from playing it. There was like an issue with the field surface, and like the Packers and whatever team were like, yeah, we're not playing on this, and they just didn't play it. That is a cursed game, but I will be consuming some of the preseason here. I'm excited for that. Are you going to be in attendance for any of those?
Probably go to the one against the Eagles, and I think I'm missing the other one due to vacation. Unfortunately, we've got the Ravens playing the Eagles this Friday at 7:30 p.m. at the Bank. Then Saturday, August 17th, noon, home game at noon. Very fun against the Falcons. I will be out of town. And then they conclude against the Lambeau Leapin' Green Bay Packers on the 24th before getting ready for the Kansas City Chiefs, September 5th, the opener of the NFL season.
Saturday noon. That's actually, I kind of like that for a preseason. I feel like it's always like a weeknight, like a late weeknight at night, like 7 p.m., like this one coming up on a Friday. Sometimes it is a Friday, and like honestly, it's tough for me to be fully dialed into all of those as much as I try. But, I go back and I break down all the tape. I watch everything on NFL Game Pass, if that still exists. And I just get all my eye test and all my takes, ready to rock for each and every week. We probably will not be doing full previews and everything for those. I think it's mostly going to live on the Jumbo Set here for the next month or so. But we'll kind of be breaking them down and trying to get our takes off. It's a lot different now than even when we first started doing this. Like even back then, like John was still very much in this, like, hey, starters are going to play at least a quarter in some of these games. Then we had a J.K. Dobbins injury happen a couple of years ago. I feel like it's a full orthodoxy now, and none of that is really going to be happening. I feel like we're not going to be seeing a ton of the starters in the preseason. It's probably for the better. I don't know how much longer for this world preseason football even is, to be honest. So it's not going to be, we're not, jumping fully back in to our regularly scheduled programming as far as review type thing, but that will be fully in kick for the regular season. But just a little preview of what you can expect over the course of August here.
And for those that have joined us from last season to this season, once the season kicks off, we're going to follow a similar schedule. We're going to do a game preview. Thursday, Friday, we do a post game, Sunday, Monday, and then we do the Jumbo Set every single Tuesday night where we can come back and have our removed, sober, fun, cathartic breakdown between the games, between the weeks. So super fired up for that. We had a lot of fun last year. We'll do some in-episode visual tape breakdown again once the season starts, all kinds of stuff. We have a couple sound bites fired up here today as camp is underway. Nothing too crazy been going on. People freaked out, I think, a little bit over Lamar Jackson being sick for a couple days. Rashad Bateman has, been dinged up once or twice. So those are always very positive comments online when you just click on those posts that Bateman
It's you can set your watch to this Lamar thing at this point. I mean, this guy, like, what is going on with the immune system? We've already asked it. We've asked it ad nauseum. I don't think it's a question we're going to get the answer to. But my God, man, we really need to start having a conversation here with a nutritionist or something. Maybe you get you in there. I feel like you would have some interesting takes on how to ward off some of this, some of the things that are ailing him on a consistent basis here. It's interesting.
I could get his gut health in immaculate condition very quickly. Just I've got him. Whatever he needs, Lamar, let me know. I'll take care of you.
Are you saying he has
the bubble guts? The bubble guts will be gone. I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't think I've ever seen any professional athlete so frequently just be sick.
I love the, I think this was you that went in there and put some, pulled some puzzle pieces together there, that this might have had something to do with some oxtail pizza. You were also giving me some updates on, you obviously have a close connection working at old Johns Hopkins, and some information about a certain virus going around that has maybe been plaguing this world for the past 5 years or so, that had another surge. We don't have to get into that, but maybe that's what it was. I had a weird kind of 24-hour thing where I was dealing with kind of chills and a stomach ache right around the time he was, and it sounded like the same symptoms. So maybe we had the same thing. I don't know.
It was COVID. It was a COVID strain.
Interesting.
It was a COVID strain. A lot of people, I'm sure if you're listening right now, somebody who's had a little cold going on, probably is a little COVID strain. Some info, like I said, coming out of Johns Hopkins. Yeah. So that would be my best guess. I don't know. I get sick a lot. I would imagine, like you said, it's clockwork. He's going to miss 3 practices, week 6, week 8, somewhere around there.
Usually in November when it really does start to get cold, and then maybe they play a couple Midwest games, and he's just, that cold weather starts to get him. He's just he's a warm weather kid.
He is like Anthony Santander, and I think he doesn't sleep a lot. I don't know. He's talked about that before. I think he's not a huge sleeper. I think he likes to sleep in. And when you do that, I'm like that way too. My mom said when I was born, I would stay up as an infant until 9 or 10 o'clock and sleep until 7 or 8 a.m. And if you're a parent,
were you just breaking down tape at age 5? You're like this,
I mean, I was playing Madden at age 5. That counts. I used to use Marshall Faulk a lot. I was a big Marshall Faulk fan. I cried when the Rams lost to Tom Brady. I cried. I was a big Rams fan because of Madden when I was really little.
It's so funny you say that. When the Ravens were in the Super Bowl in 2000, this is one of my earliest memories. We went over my neighbor's house. This guy actually might be a listener now. Shout out to CJ. He had gotten braces the year before, and he got Rams colored braces because I think the Rams had won in 99. And then a couple years later, he was like, I'm a big Rams fan now. And then they were there, again. And he had gotten the Rams, but he's a Ravens fan now, but when you're a young kid, you're just very impressionable.
The Rams were sweet, man. Kurt Warner, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Marshall Faulk. There was something special.
It was just super funny because he got those. And then of course the Ravens, who hadn't done anything, they'd only been around for 5 years. They're in the Super Bowl all of a sudden. It's kind of a tough break for my guy there, but it worked out okay.
It's okay. Everybody had their weird little team they liked when they were young. And mine was the Rams. I used to run counter in Madden 2000 with Marshall Faulk nonstop. That was belly counter. That was my play back in the day. And I finally beat my brothers when I was 7 or 8 years old. I beat him for the first time and was belly counter, just going crazy. Shout out to also Garrison Hurst, one of the most underrated running backs in Madden of all time. He was a fucking force in Madden when I was 5 years old.
I think they had Summerall and Madden on the call in those games. They definitely had Madden. I don't know who was doing.
Yeah, they had Pat. They had Pat for sure.
Yeah, great time. Madden 2000 on the 64. That was a Mike Louque birthday gift one year. And yeah, that was a fun time. I wasn't quite as into it at the time, but I definitely had my Madden phase. I'm now crushing a little bit of EA College Football 25. Very good at it against the computer on Heisman. So I gotta set up a game with RDT and take him to school here sometime soon.
It would be quite the fun scenario. RDT's just been recruiting his tail off. But yeah, Lamar gonna get sick again at some point. Not fighting it. It happens. Guy gets sick. Every hero needs their flaw, right?
That they do. Okay. Well, I guess that's enough scratching around at first base here. We can get to the news now. And we actually did have a decently significant piece of news here as the Ravens bring in veteran wide receiver Russell Gage, 28 years old, been in the league since 2018, generally a supporting receiver for the Falcons and the Buccaneers for 1 year. Career high 786 yards, 5 touchdowns. Those were in separate years. And he's coming off a 2023 season that he missed due to a torn patella tendon that happened before the season. So this will be kind of his first action back. Here's what our guy John Harbaugh had to say about the signing.
It was an opportunity for us, really. I mean, he's a guy that's proven player, catches, tough player, physical player, great hands, just a proven NFL veteran-type player. Just starting today, looked good, but just starting, kind of ramping him up a little bit. I mean, I think he got his helmet out there about 1. He was out there at 120. So, but we got him out there and got him going a little bit. So he'll learn the offense, and he should play Friday. Well, we have to ramp him up a little bit, no doubt about it, Brian. I mean, he's just hadn't done anything, from the first day, really. We're going to bring him along, but the good news is it's still pretty early in camp, relatively speaking. We've still got 3 full preseason games and plenty of weeks of practice to get him ready. So he's excited to be back. He's worked hard to get back, and we're looking forward to having him out there.
Yeah, so I think this is kind of turning into Eric's move a little bit, going and signing sort of veterans ahead of the season, maybe filling some spots of need. I think there was a lot of thought that wide receiver still is a position of need. They lose Odell Beckham. They draft Devontae Walker, obviously, in the 4th round, and I think a lot of people were expecting him to have at least a decent role on this team for a rookie, at least a 4th-round rookie. I still probably would expect that to be the case, but like John said, I mean, this guy is a proven guy who's been in the league. He's been a gadget guy a little bit too. He's, has the ability to throw the ball, I think, kind of out of the backfield on some trick plays. So an interesting piece. If he's fully healthy, I'd probably expect him to make this team. And maybe I think you threw the joke on there on Twitter or X about having like a 200-yard season, couple touchdowns, that type of thing, which I think would be perfectly fine. That's a good August signing for this team.
Yeah, he is someone who has inside-outside versatility, shifty off the line of scrimmage. Tough was the word Harbaugh used. I agree with that for sure. Contested catch kind of guy, coming off a big injury, so you never know. But yeah, fits right in, fits the MO, probably wants to go to Baltimore and play some football and have it be all about football. And that's what we always hear veterans say. It's just about football in Baltimore. They don't care who you are, where you're from. They just want to play football, win football games, football. So Bucks were a team I liked a lot in the last couple of years and get some interesting experience there. So if he's healthy, I think he has a very strong shot to make the roster, play a little special teams, the new kickoff. I still meant to have Sam come on to talk about that, but I DM'd him. I think he'll come on. I think he said around the beginning of the season. Anyway, Gage, yeah, I say 2,202, and I mean that, like you said, as a good thing. Like someone that can go start a game here or there, go catch a couple, have a 5-catch game when you need it one time when someone's hurt. Not terribly dissimilar from Nelson Aguilar, who has bounced around, been successful, been unsuccessful.
And this is where we're in the bubble at this point, because this is just the type of guy that was not available for them 10 years ago when they would need to make a move like this, because he would have been on a team already. Now you've got this proliferation of young guys coming in, they're drafting guys, teams are all over the place with the wide receiver position. So for a guy to be available like this, it's a sign of the times. And, like you said, he could contribute a little bit in the way that one of these veteran signings they would have made 7 years ago would not have been able to.
Definitely. So is he going to be a world beater? No. Is he maybe going to play some football for the Ravens in the regular season? I think so. I think they're happy to get a guy like that. You look around the rest of the depth chart, and the Ravens have Flowers, Bateman, Aguilar, Devontae Walker, Deontay Hardy, who's mainly a returner, can catch a couple passes for you. Some nice reports coming out about, we'll get into that later as these preseason games go on, but Malik Cunningham, Dayton Wade, some other guys. But Tylan Wallace played a little bit. Rashad Bateman kind of starting to become a veteran. Flowers, still a young player. You got Aguilar and Russell Gage in there to just have some vets in the room, some professionals, give balance of personality and even keel professionalism. And
similar body type to Devin Duvernay too, which is kind of a loss that people don't really talk about, I think, understandably, but Duvernay definitely contributed at times when needed and when called upon. So this could be, he's a little bit lighter. Like Duvernay obviously had that kind of more running back body, but maybe a guy out of the slot who could give you some stuff.
Yeah, I think Devin Duvernay is interesting and wouldn't be incredibly shocked to see him have a nice stint with the Jags, who have had some fun gadget players over the last couple of years. Jamal Agnew, guys like that. So, yeah, Russell Gage, Baltimore Raven. I think he makes the roster.
What no, was he wearing 6 out there?
I didn't see.
I think he was wearing 6, and I think we're going to need to change that to 12 if 12 is available.
Yeah, he was wearing 6.
It's
14 is on the Falcons. That's what he wore on the Falcons. 17 on the Bucks.
What are we doing? Why can't we just do 12 and just a freaking 12 gauge? What do you think? A freaking 12 gauge. What do you think? Okay, I guess that's enough on Russell Gage. Hopefully, we'll have some more on him after this first preseason game. I'm hoping for a Demarcus Robinson situation where he just goes in there and just moonwalks all over some poor guy who's going to be bagging groceries in a couple weeks. That'll be a lot of fun, but we will see. Moving into the injury news, of which there was a little bit. We got Rashad Bateman, who came down on a ball weird, I think Harbaugh said. Tyler Linderbaum dealing with something. Arthur Mollett dealing with a knee injury. Odafe Owe dealing with injuries. Varying levels of severity here. It sounds like Owe and Bateman's are described as not serious per John.
Arthur's been dealing with a knee issue. We'll see. It's not going to be, anything season-ending, but we're looking at it right now. We got to figure out what it is. And Odafe sprained his ankle a little bit. Should be fine.
So it's interesting there, the wording when it comes to Mollett specifically. He said not season-ending, and then I think he got sort of pushed for a timeline there, and he gave his typical John. I think I already answered that. He probably didn't like whoever was asking the question. My apologies if I'm off base there. Forever did, but yeah, sounds like Bateman, Owe not dealing with anything too serious. A little bit murky on Linderbaum, and certainly murky on Mollett, who I think that could actually be a significant loss for them if he's going to miss a lot of time.
Certainly sounds like Linderbaum. I guess the phrase people like to use probably sounds like it's week to week from what we've heard. Sounds like he's probably going to be out for a little bit and should be ready to go. Dealt with something very similar in the beginning of the year last year, unfortunately. So you hate to see that, but guy's as tough as nails. He's Iowa tough, and we'll figure it out. Rashad Bateman, a couple nicks and bruises, whatever happens. Owe, we shall see. Connor Williams brought in here to help quell maybe some of the guard issues, backup center. They did draft a center, but having a vet that has started 3 spots along the offensive line is always going to be a little better than, a late day 3 rookie in all likelihood, especially to begin with. So Connor Williams signed, Russell Gage, like you said, both classic.
Did they sign Williams? My apologies. I thought he had, this might be outdated as of now. Did they officially?
I thought so. I could be out of place.
Because I know I saw that he had visited, but he had also visited the Seahawks, and his decision was expected. This is great radio on my part. Let's look up old Connor Williams here on the X app. Connor Williams.
I think you might be right.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I've got somebody in Seahawks Twitter doing a prayer circle that Connor Williams will sign with the Seahawks. That was 3 hours ago. So sounds like they're praying, they're hoping beyond hope that the former Longhorn will be signing with Mike McD in Seattle. So we'll see what happens with that. This could be fully outdated. He could be signed with the Ravens. He could be in Seattle signing with the Seahawks as you're listening to this. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like that could just be more veteran depth for them. He's a guy who came out of Texas with a lot of promise. He hasn't fully lived up to that, but he could be a versatile piece there along an offensive line that, probably could use some veteran presence right now.
And like you said, Eric DeCosta, just seeing what cheap vets want to come that have experience and can help bolster depth. Eddie Jackson, not dissimilar from that situation as well. So just kind of getting some guys that have had some success, have some experience, and can calm things down. You remove kind of the necessity to play younger guys before they're ready or that you don't quite trust. And yeah, not moves that maybe define your season necessarily, but they help make sure that you've got the right length screws in place to hold up the things you need to hold. So kind of a little deeper screw into the wall there than maybe the quarter inch or
they're not using it. They're not using the little plastic anchor is what you're saying. This is just kind of like
we're using real screws here.
Okay.
I think that's how I would assimilate or say that guys like Jackson, guys like Williams, guys like Gage fill in. They make sure that nothing's going to fall off. They can bear some weight for you.
Check your depth on what wall you're screwing into, by the way. That's something homeowner Jakey has learned a little bit about lately. I am stuck with a hole in my wall that I am struggling to find the correct screw size for, and it is killing me.
You'll get there. You're not quite 30 yet. You'll get there.
Yeah, I hope so. Turn 29 this month, actually.
Yeah, you're almost there, buddy.
I'll officially be in my late 20s then.
Yeah, that's official. It wasn't official last year or the year before.
No, yeah, that's absolutely right. All right, that's enough on injury news. We can jump into a little bit of a deep dive now. Like we said, took some time off, just a well-publicized break there. So we didn't really get haven't gotten into a ton of this stuff. You know, you mentioned Eddie Jackson as a signing. There's a couple other things going on here, but just jumping into it, I feel like big questions around this team. For me, it's 100% the offensive line. I'm still kind of worried, and we've been talking about this pretty much all offseason, but just some uncertainty there right now. It feels like they're relying on youth to sort of prop this group up a little bit. We mentioned bringing Williams in. I mean, is that, supposed to work as kind of a salve against that? We've got Andrew Voorhees turning some heads. He's drawing some pub there for how he's projecting at guard. They've been kind of experimenting with Dan Falele a little bit. Ben Cleveland still kind of in the mix. We're hearing some mixed reviews on him for what feels like the 50th year in a row there with Ben Cleveland. How are we feeling about this offensive line and the state of it as we head into preseason week 1 here?
Well, you expect Linderbaum to be an anchor for you. So, of course, him missing time is a little discouraging, but nonetheless will put pressure on other guys throughout the preseason. They'll have opportunities. You really love to hear that Ronnie Stanley feels healthier than he has been since that initial gruesome injury back in 2020.
Yes.
Yeah.
Immediately after he signed the massive contract, Steelers
so it's been coming up on 4 years now. So that injury, I've talked about Taylor Lewan and David Bakhtiari and Stanley. They were kind of the first tier, along with Trent Williams, who at the time was going through his issues with the artist formerly known as the Redskins. And yeah, Stanley, the last man surviving, healthy, playing, took a little pay cut to be here, and sounds like he's doing some fancy catching the football, running around, goofing around, doing all kinds of fun stuff. So
that was a great like reporters aren't allowed to tweet out trick plays, and then it's like I worked on the story for 5 years and he just tweeted it out. Like Ronnie Stanley just posts a picture of himself like posterizing someone in the secondary bragging about his trick play. Tough beat there for my guys on the beat who probably were all lathered up to tweet out some Todd Monken trickeration, couldn't do it, and then little Ronnie Stanley going out there and just dunking all over them and whoever he dunked on.
Yeah, so I think this offensive line goes as far as Ronnie Stanley goes. If he's healthy, if he plays confident football like he did at the end of last year, and even maybe a little bit more so, I think they're in a good spot. We'll see. Cole always makes the point. Voorhees is still a rookie. He still hasn't played an NFL game. He still hasn't even played an NFL preseason game. So we can certainly be overzealous, a little bit of a wait and see there.
I think we put it as he's like a physical rookie, right? He's got mentally, he
knows more. He knows more than he would have, but still hasn't gotten to take any live bullets. It's like he graduated college and then joined the Army and starts as an officer, but still hasn't gone on duty yet. So then right guard. I don't know what the hell's going on. The Ravens hate Ben Cleveland is what it sounds like. They always have. Sounds like maybe I don't know. Again, I'm putting my own spin on maybe some whispers, but sounds like maybe he's not the most coachable guy or just doesn't really give a shit during practice or something like that. I don't know. Every time he plays during a regular season or postseason game, he looks good. So I don't know. I don't think they like him very much. There were questions of him coming out. I very much was expecting him to have a Ben Powers. And Ben, this is the thing. We might have the wool pulled over our eyes. Ben Powers had the same thing happen. Why aren't they playing him? He was a relatively high pick, seems to play okay. And then in his contract year, he comes in and starts and just hunkers down. So
Cleveland was with Monken at Georgia, right? For a year.
The COVID year. Yeah. I think so.
I feel like if this is, like last year probably could have been the year. If this isn't the year, and it's a contract year anyway, right? So,
he wasn't going to play. I think they really do like him more on the right side. He wasn't going to play over Zeitler.
Sure.
I don't know. Like Monken being his OC, I don't know. I don't know how much relevance that necessarily has to it because the offensive line is Joe D's show. I don't think anybody pulls the trump card on Joe D. Harbaugh probably, and I think it's his offensive line that's kind of the respect he's been given. He's kind of a psycho. If you go to practices, he's classic psycho line coach. He's yelling at him. He's banging him on the back of the head, and he's a tough cookie. So
He gets results too. I mean, like you can't, I always go out of my way to call him out as like a super underappreciated and under talked about like gem on this coaching staff, like a guy who's really put together some chicken salad in some difficult circumstances, especially with the Stanley injury and everything they've had to do where they were platooning guys, the last couple of years and everything. I think he had a lot to do with that. And it's very impressive. When I hear all this like attitude stuff, that's where I'm like, that is not a John Harbaugh guy. Like that is a thing that John Harbaugh is going to take personally, that, you're not taking the spirit of the game and everything seriously. And like, that just seems like Harbaugh's heroes. He's not one of them. That might be part of what's going on here, but that's just me reading into it. I don't know anything necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Ben Cleveland coming out. We've seen strong flashes of it. So I don't know. I expect him to start there still. Falele, I don't know. I'll eat my words. I said he would never be a guard. He would be the tallest guard, like one of the tallest guards ever. I don't know. When Monken was brought in, that's what we said. Not a great fit for Monken's offense as opposed to Greg Roman's. Not shocked if Falele maybe is a surprise cut or something. They're trying to showcase him, see if they can get some value or something like that. But both guys that are gigantic and the Ravens drafted and fit really well into maybe not Todd Monken's offense. And I don't know. I mean, I think Cleveland does, though. Cleveland can move in a straight line and some of those things. I don't know. I would really like to see him in there. I think he's the answer for me at right guard based on everything I've seen and know, and they know better than me, and I'm not in practice, and I still don't know. And that's why I think like all the training camp coverage and talking about like what the completions that the quarterback has and who caught what pass, like we don't fucking know what we're seeing. We don't know what they're being asked to do. I don't know. So I always think it's more interesting. I was hoping to have Nikhil on. I asked him a couple weeks ago. He can't tonight, but
he big timed us. I see how
it
is.
Nikhil Mehta. I asked him a little too late today. I forgot, but I've been asking him, hey, take note of what are they spending time doing? This is his third training camp, I think. Those are the things I think that you can really tell about training camp to the naked eye. If you've been looking at them, if you go to a lot of them, how are they spending their time differently? 2019, they spent a lot of time red zone passing, a lot of time red zone passing. And then they were the best red zone passing team. So what looks different? Have they changed practice? Have they changed drills? How does, Greg Lewis look as opposed to Keith Williams? How does, Zach Orr's defense seem to communicate differently, or what do they spend time doing as opposed to, when Mike McDonald was the head guy or new linebackers coach as opposed to Zach Orr. So all those things, offensive line. The other question I have is, how is Zach Orr going to replace Mike McDonald? What is that going to look like? I would like to hear more about the play calls. Mike McDonald, famous for using one-word play calls and having ideas rather than play calls. Like the play call is 50 different things. It just really depended on how the offense lined up more so. And the beginning of Mike McDonald's tenure as defensive coordinator was a really rocky start. The Dolphins lit the Ravens up badly, had that huge comeback in M&T Bank Stadium, blew a bunch of leads, wasn't getting a ton of help from the offense, but there was a huge concern. So offensive line, new defensive coordinator, some turnover defensively. You don't have Jadeveon Clowney. You lose, Patrick Queen, a couple guys. Both of those units, the defense as a whole in the offensive line, I would expect some learning curve, some bumps, some bruises early in the season. So, that happens. Change often leads to that. And that's why having Harbaugh should limit some of that as opposed to, changing the entire coach, the entire system, the entire gym. But those are really primary concerns. What is Zach Orr going to do differently? Is he going to be able to generate pressure the same way? All intents and purposes sound like this is kind of also really Roquan Smith's defense, and it's in his vision, kind of like he is a quarterback. And we always say that linebacker is a quarterback of defense, but when you've got $100 million linebacker, a little bit different. And when it's Roquan Smith or Fred Warner or a couple of these other top guys, very much is their defense and their imagination of their defense, and they're the one who creates the expectation just as much. So hopefully able to retain a lot of the good from McDonald's defense and not have that much of a learning curve when Orr's been with McDonald for a while, and hopefully able to rub off some of the genius that he brought, especially last year.
Yeah, and some interesting disparate pieces to work with. The Trenton Simpson ascension, I'm very curious to see how that works out. He's drawing some pretty rave reviews in camp so far. You would hope that he would. He's kind of, he's had a little bit of a redshirt year of his own there last year. Not in the way that Voorhees did, obviously not dealing with an injury, but doesn't see much action. Looks good in that Steeler game. We'll see how it's going to work out for him. And like you said, I think coming up alongside of Roquan Smith, who is kind of a coach on the field, I think is going to be very helpful for him, just like it was for Patrick Queen. And yeah, I mean, some other disparate pieces there too with Eddie Jackson. You mentioned him as a signing. Interesting rotational piece, but I mean, shit, like Geno Stone got a lot of run in this defense last year and obviously made a huge impact with the interceptions. I don't know if I'm expecting that same type of impact from Eddie Jackson, but that's a guy who I think was a sneaky good summer signing and could, fit into this defense very well. And Brandon Stevens contract year, kind of tough to have to go from Mike McDonald's system to a new one here in a contract year for Stevens, but you'd hope that he's able to get off on the right foot, especially if Mullet's injury is going to be a more long-term one.
You do. And Ardarius Washington, someone who's getting a lot of praise, who earned a spot on the team after being a UDFA, and the media was so much higher on him. Brandon Stevens, you talked about. If he plays any better than he played last year, he's getting a massive contract. He's getting a huge, huge, huge contract. He is able to run and bump with Jamar Chases and physical, AJ Brown types and those kind of alpha X on the ball press guys that can beat press with physicality. The ball skills have come around. I mean, last year was really eye-opening, and I don't know if I've ever seen a player develop at corner so drastically from year to year, especially switching positions, all that kind of stuff, and bouncing around. So Stevens was really a godsend last year for the Ravens. Probably, I'd say the Kelly Gregg Award of most, underrated player on the Ravens, or that the average NFL fan doesn't know about, but was awesome. So in a contract year, I expect a lot of the same. I still expect them division to the football. Not a lot of change coverage wise in that regard necessarily that should look different. So I think sounds like a bigger story this offseason has been kind of Marlon Humphrey, who dropped some weight, is picking the hell. I think he has 5 picks off Lamar Jackson in camp. Lamar did miss a couple days too. Sounded like he picked the ball off like every day for a week off of Lamar Jackson almost. So having those guys and a Wiggins, the Aussie adage, never have too many corners. I'm sure they'll somehow end up with, not enough. Happens every year. Track athletes get, a muscle injury. It's a little different. So Marlon Humphrey needs to have a big year this year. I mean, kind of for legacy, I'd say. As
and
someone who,
this is the last. I mean, they can get out of his contract after this coming year, correct? So I think it is kind of
with a really strong year that could turn into like a nice third contract extension with the Ravens and pushing some money down the road and looking a little different. And he's a Raven for life and all that stuff. And he clearly wants to be. So someone that, I don't know. I feel like people make, because of his personality, people make fun of like how maybe seriously he takes football. I think he takes it super seriously, as seriously as pretty much anyone in his position, but hasn't been the level that he was in the last couple of years, mainly because of injuries. And, let himself get too much weight. It sounded like he put too much weight on. He definitely racked up a lot of miles hitting guys early in his career. I've talked about that for years, that will add up later when you're a corner. Being physical and pounding into dudes will end up racking up some serious toll down the road. So he's talked about maybe moving to safety later in his career, all those kinds of things. Him and Marcus Williams. I mean, you can throw Marcus Williams into that too. Now they got Eddie Jackson, Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Williams. That has potential to be a really good group. Ardarius Washington, we mentioned. Can Marcus Williams stop having weird injuries?
I forget the one-armed man is in the mix here sometimes, and
I do too. I don't think about him, and he has a huge contract and is a good player.
He is, and that would be massive if he could just have a healthy year, and we don't even need to see the types of interceptions and the interception rate that we saw early in his tenure with the Ravens. If he can just be a good over-the-top safety and take away a lot of things that some of these faster receivers are going to throw at you, I think that would be very, very nice for a defense that I think is going to need some coordination on the back end there. Given that they're probably dealing with some new terminology, I expect there's going to be carryover from McDonald, but overall, I think he's going to need to be, if nothing else, a stabilizing force for them.
Yeah, and quarterbacks are going to look for Kyle Hamilton and Roquan Smith. Those are the centerpieces in the middle of the field now. And like I just saw a brief little PFF, separation versus like catch point grade or something. Kyle Hamilton, best safety in the NFL. You don't really want to throw at him a ton. I mean, Patrick Mahomes did in the AFC Championship game, sure, but that's what it took. Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer. And this is now year 3 for Hamilton, who's still so young. What is he, 23 now, I think?
Who could say, really?
The Google machine can say. He is 23. He's just turned 23 in March. So he's got a full year at 23 years old is his 3rd year. And very well could end up having some Defensive Player of the Year votes cast his direction if he does.
This is the type of guy also, like, knowing Kyle Hamilton, the little bit that I do, this is the type of guy that's like, oh, it's my Jordan year. And he's going to like take that really seriously and like be all kind of self-serious about it. And like, it'll probably work out well for him. But
he's got Jordan year, then Kobe year back to back.
Yeah, if Marlon Humphrey needs like material to make fun of him, which I feel like that was big on Marlon. I feel like he was a little intimidated by Kyle coming in and being the new kind of young alpha on the block. If he needs some material, I probably got some stuff for him, and I think he's the guy who takes Jordan year a little too seriously. I think you probably want to use that if you're Marlon. Get back to that alpha dog status.
That would just make sense. You're writing the plot for them. That may come to fruition this year. So, yeah, I mean, that back end, Roquan, all those guys, we talk about all that handy-dandy stuff. The one area you're looking at is pass rushers, edge rushers.
Is this the OA sack year? Let's get it out there. Is he going to have 8 sacks?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't really think there's any question about it, to be honest. It's there. It's right for the taking. He is expected to now and is going to be put in position to be more of a sack guy. Being put into the force of pressure packages and things like that. So he's got to be the one. He's the one who's been in the defense. He's the most explosive one. He looked great last year. I think he was good. He's a good player last year. He just got hurt a little bit. And, the sack numbers. We're always obsessed with the sack numbers. Sack numbers will come. Pressure's there. Sacks will come. That is correlation that has causation. So, yeah, I mean.
Another question for you. When we get to, let's say we're in mid-December, is Mina Kimes on her podcast doing some sort of breakdown about how Travis Jones is one of the most underrated players in the NFL? That I don't expect there's going to be a big national conversation around him quite yet, but are the ball knowers, quote unquote, are they going to be kind of trying to push that agenda by the end of the season?
They've already started. That was already happening last year. So yes, him and Pierce, if healthy, again, always going to say if healthy, but him and Pierce, if healthy, completely dominant. Justin Madubuike feels like in this contract, he, because of that, transcends like position. He turns into it, and it like, where can he make an impact? Where is his matchup? Where can he, where's my bitch? Like, that is what Justin Madubuike is now. Who's my bitch going to be? That's where you want him on the offensive line. Where's his mismatch? You paid him to be a mismatch pass rusher, run stopper, impact player because of the way he hustles to the ball. Because of that, I think we see him kick out. I think we see him. There's just no world. I don't have it right in front of me. I could look it up. I think he did about 250 snaps outside of the 3-tech. And I think we see that juice up a lot. I think we see him start to go 4-tech and maybe a little bit of 5 and start to be maybe to the outside, move, standing, drops into coverage a lot. His body composition, it's the offseason, kind of. Not really. It's the season, but he looks like he went full Aaron Donald. There's no fat on that man's body. We met him in person. He's not fat. He is. I was going to say, like,
even just meeting him, he looks like he could do that kind of 5 thing, or like go the other way, right?
He's
like,
built like just as thin and lean as like a Cam Jordan.
Yeah,
that kind of guy. I wouldn't be shocked if he's 275 pounds right now. Aaron Donald said he was playing at like 250.
And that's why I ask about the Travis Jones thing, because I feel like they are going to start to experiment with Madubuike a little bit. And he had the double-digit sack year, and he got the contract. He's going to be on that PowerPoint now when other teams are starting to game plan for the Ravens. They're going to say, hey, this 92 guy, if you don't know about him, and hopefully it's not an Urban Meyer situation like, hey, who's this guy 92? He's pretty good for other teams, hopefully anyway. But he's going to be getting a lot more attention. So I think it's kind of ripe for the taking there for a guy like Jones. And obviously Pierce is going to be doing what he's been doing if he stays healthy. But
yeah, Pierce, the Ravens re-signed Pierce, and I think they need to keep Pierce healthy by playing Jones more. Slide him in, rotate those guys, keep them fresh legs. Jones is a freak of nature. His get off, his hand strength, his functional strength, quickness of his hands and his feet, all elite. And creeping towards contract. I mean, year 3 for Travis Jones. Extension has to happen kind of now, or, after next season, he'll hit free agency if he doesn't get one by then. So I would very much, if I'm the Ravens, I would not be surprised to see him be the early extension cheaper player that they make an offer to, like we heard about Matabike. Before the numbers came, the Ravens saw it coming, and the path is right there before them. Are they a little bit different body type wise? Yeah, but it's kind of just one position over. It's like one body type over, the super mesomorph into the endomorph. So we're going to see Travis Jones get the opportunity. He's going to be relied on. Tavius Robinson going to get more chances as things stand. Those two guys you look at, they have a full opportunity to make themselves money. Tavius Robinson, of course, only going into year 2, but I look to those two guys. If they can make an impact, they become starters and players that catch the attention of the league and catch the attention of their, agents and their bank accounts, because they're going to be relied upon very much so.
But it's all just market value, as we were taught. I'm not sitting there with a calculator every time he gets a sack. And that was a good question by me. I think he gave a solid answer, but and that's an anecdote for 2 there.
He's lying.
Well.
He was lying. He was lying.
He was totally lying. Every time I'm speaking, of course, we met Justin Matabike's agent like right before the contract got signed. And I asked him, like, hey man, like every time he gets a sack, are you like going into Excel and being like, fuck it, like enter the formula? Like the price of the brick just went up X. And he was like, nah, man, it's just kind of like market value. I was like, all right. That's the type of
be greedy. He said, I try to be greedy when others are fearful. Warren Buffett.
Right. It's the ink under the fingernails journalism you can expect from this crew. But that's enough on the defense. Offensively, I'm seeing a lot of buzz around the idea of 12 personnel. How are we expecting these splits between Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews? Are they going to kind of ramp Andrews back up? I don't think, and it was a small sample size, I don't know if he looked like he was fully ready to be back in that playoff game against the Chiefs. And yeah, they kind of forced that a little bit. I feel like Likely, he looked like a top 10 tight end at times last season. I feel like he is really coming into his own here. 12 personnel, how are they kind of mixing that up, do you think?
Yeah, I think we're going to see similar usage to what we saw last year, and it's just going to be more reps for Isaiah Likely. I think they forced the issue of 11 personnel. I think that was maybe a little bit of a crowd-pleasing response, and then Andrews goes down, so it kind of stayed that way a little bit more. Pat Ricard factors into that too. But I think the ability to push the ball into Isaiah Likely's hands and manufactured touches on motion into screens, motion into swings, quick hitters. He is a young horse that wants to get paid. He wants the football, and you want to have him be the one that's taking those manufactured touches, taking hits, fighting, doing all of those things, keep Mark Andrews more healthy. I would think that a nice snap share for Likely would probably be in the 45% range, 40% range. Andrews probably in the 65% range, 70% range. A little bit more Andrews on third down than not on third down. Likely, picking and choosing your spots. Likely he's fresh, he's young. You mentioned the injury, so yeah, it's going to be matchup dependent as well. Who's going to be able to deal with 12 personnel better?
Lamar trusts him too in one-on-one situations, which is a big thing. Like you can tell when he doesn't trust a guy or he's not on the same page. A lot of people complain about that with Bateman, where he doesn't really try him as much as he should. I mean, if you go back and look at some of Likely's highlight plays last season, you think obviously the one against the Jaguars where Lamar spins out of it, just kind of throws up a prayer ball and he makes that massive catch. But man, think about that. What was it? A 4th and 7 against the Dolphins? Just kind of chucks one in his direction. He comes down with it, one-handed catch, and then runs for a touchdown. I mean, there was a lot of trust or trust built up between the two last year, and that cannot be discounted. I mean, it's an intangible thing that you can't really fully quantify, but I don't know. It just feels like they were on another level chemistry-wise than we've probably seen since Andrews when they first started to develop their partnership. So impressive stuff.
It is, and Likely is a piece that's going to have – I tweeted it the other day. You see the yards after the catch per reception took a 20% increase over 2022 and 2021 for Lamar Jackson. Isaiah Likely, a huge part of that. I mean, think of the play he made against the Dolphins on 4th down. Just reaches out with a paw, takes a 5-step out to the house. He can do it. He can go all the way. He did it in college. Explosive long touchdowns are part of what his game is, and you need that on the football field. And Andrews taking that mentorship role. And again, versatility. You think of that core package of Bateman, Flowers, Ricard, Andrews, likely Henry, those guys, one of them won't be on the field. But that kind of core package, Justice Hill, of course, in there as well. Harbaugh calling him
starting running back, Justice Hill.
Starting running back, Justice Hill, according to John Harbaugh. Which, again, another guy that's underappreciated and done some nice things and got a nice little contract and is a nice little Ravens career so far, especially after that Achilles rupture. But that's kind of your core group, right? That's the meat and potatoes. Aguilar, maybe Tez Walker works into there. That's it. Keaton Mitchell will be back at some point here, hopefully. I think his speed can transcend an ACL. Like his joints might grow back stronger. He has that kind of speed, but that's your squad. And having Likely and Andrews on the field makes life easy. You have the contrast, Jitterbug and Zay Flowers, the kind of small forward, Rashad Bateman. And then you've got the, LeBron James like Derrick Henry that is bigger and faster and stronger. So they've got point forwards, they've got power forward, center, they've got point guard and Zay Flowers. They've got that nice little basketball team. And I will say, I think it's very worrisome depth-wise. I don't think Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman are going to play 34 games. I would set the over-under there at maybe 28.5 between the two of them, 29.5. So when they're out, Tylan Wallace, Aguilar, Isaiah Likely, those are the guys that get a lot more reps.
My guy 12 gauge, you're already just erasing him, or 6 gauge. Let's change that to 12. I mean, you're Russell Gage. What are you doing? You're already disrespecting him.
Big Russell Gage. Yeah, sure. Throw him in there. I don't care, but
he'll be little Gage from now on. Little Russell Gage. Yeah.
And I think the Ravens forced the hand a little. Odell and Flowers, and they want to get everybody on the field and all those things. And I think they just kind of forced themselves into growth. And I don't think that's a bad thing. But now it's kind of like we don't need to force any more growth. We just need to be good. We just need to do what we want to do what's best. They proved that this system will work. It is effective. They can score. They can, run the San Francisco 49ers out of the gym.
Lamar Jackson is the system too. I mean, that's kind of the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, I don't know. That's why I kind of feel I'm excited for football, but I'm kind of, just enjoying the ride, because as long as he's healthy, they're going to win a lot of games. That's what it boils down to. That's why last year, the Bills were struggling. It was they're going to figure it out. They have Josh Allen. Chiefs are just as dangerous as anyone. They have Patrick Mahomes. Those guys you look to, and there's not this I don't know. There's just not a lot of pressure, I feel like, on the season. And I think it's more the ability to have fun, enjoy things. And I think that also leads to the negative mindset that fans can have of when a game goes poorly, when Lamar plays poorly, when they, make a bad coaching mistake or something. It gets so magnified because you get kind of spoiled. We're spoiled by watching the 2-time league MVP that has a 70 win percentage. And, that's kind of how the Ravens were in the late 2000s into the 2010s through their run of, success and division titles and playoff appearances and all that stuff. So, try to enjoy the ride. And that's what makes, when the Ravens lose, we get more views. People want to talk about why the team that has high expectations loses more than they want to talk about when they win. It's more shocking when they lose.
We get plenty of views from opposing fan bases who love to come in and revel in our misery. So thank you for the views there. Whatever.
You say that. I've never even seen it.
It's insane the amount of comment, and it'll be from games from months ago. It'll be some Steelers fan who's can't throw. Yeah,
Steelers are trading for Brandon Ayuk. It'll be finalized in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, shout out to our guy Pretty Ricky. He's been all over that, and it's cool. This whole Brandon Ayuk thing, by the way, it's like the Berlin Wall coming down. You would think people are dedicating wall to wall coverage of the Brandon Ayuk going to the Patriots or the Browns or the Steelers, and nothing against Pretty Ricky, who's just doing his thing, but it just feels like we're there are a lot of big things going on in the world right now. It feels like we're talking about Brandon Ayuk on the level of some of those things. He's a good player. He's not Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. And there just wasn't, I don't think there was a lot of turnover around the NFL. I don't think there was really anything that drastic.
That's what I'm saying. It feels like we're clamoring for that a little bit.
The NFL is kind of getting run back this year a little bit. there wasn't kind of any drastic change among the contenders. Like Ben Johnson stayed, Kyle Shanahan still there, same quarterback. Eagles, Jason Kelsey, the center, retired. Like
that was another thing that my God, you would have thought that the Pope died and they were convening to try and select a new Pope when Jason Kelsey deciding on retiring or not retiring, and he's going on the New Heights podcast, and he's going down to Wildwood, New Jersey, and partying. I mean, like, Jason Kelsey, nice guy. I've had enough. Like, you've retired now. Do your
that's done. Summer. I haven't heard of him all summer.
You're not looking in the same place as I am, and maybe that's an indictment on me. But I've had enough from the Kelsey brothers for one lifetime.
I think Travis. I like off-season Travis a lot more than in-season Travis.
I like him. I'd have a beer with him. They seem like nice guys. It just feels like it's being forced down my throat at times.
That's what happened. The NFL pushes them forward. They are the marketing tool. They test well. They poll well. They have Taylor Swift. They, all that good stuff we've talked about. So
Mark Andrews is a great guy, and he deserves more pub, I think.
He just likes to say, let's go. He just likes to say, let's go.
You know what? Maybe that's what I want more in my life than
the Ravens are a bunch of dumb jocks. They still are, and they don't have that kind of forced charisma going on, or that marketability.
And I don't need that marketability.
They never had it. And that's why I don't think the Ravens will win the Super Bowl. They the Ravens didn't have the narrative to win the Super Bowl until they had Ray Lewis in his last ride. They were like, okay, that's the one. We'll give them we'll let the ball bounce their way.
What do you think if John Harbaugh announced his retirement? Like, if they were to make the playoffs this year and he's like, you know what, guys, this is my last ride. I feel like that he has the charisma and sort of the cojones and the joie de vivre. I think that they could really rally around that. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. That might get it done. But that's going to happen with Andy Reid first.
God damn it, you're right. That is actually going to happen, right? And
this could very well be the year for Andy Reid.
It could be. And like, you know what? Another guy, Andy Reid, great guy. But like, when that happens, I'm going to lose my fucking shit. Like, because that is just going to be another wall to wall tributes out the wazoo. Like these amazing moments. Big Red, the cheeseburgers, everything. I mean, oh God, that is absolutely going to happen. My antenna has now been placed up for that. So thank you for putting that into my life.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. So I just don't think the Ravens have the narrative on their side, unfortunately. Whoops. Just threw something on the screen by accident. But I just don't think they have whatever the it is. I mean, Derrick Henry, maybe, I don't know. That, he's like, yeah, I'm done. I'm retiring. He's going to play 2 years though. Maybe next year.
It's just I'm just already like mentally preparing for this week one, all the sizzle reels that we're going to be seeing of, Travis Kelsey making one good play on Kyle Hamilton in a game, half a year ago, 9 months, at that point, like, I'm going to have to deal with that.
That's what makes it fun, though. That's what made the Steelers rivalry fun. When Palomalu,
it's just feeling a little one-sided for me at this point.
You got to have a little hate in your heart. Well, the Ravens have to win another one starting.
And maybe that's where my anger lies, is with the team that I root for. Let's pull our heads out of our tuchuses here and go win a game in Kansas City. Let's please just do that for me.
Oh, you didn't even care about this game. Like, last time we recorded, you're like, I don't even care about that one. Now you're like, fuck them, kick their ass.
It's almost like I push my feelings to the bottom of whatever depths of and I just avoid them until I have to deal with them, and they come out in an unhealthy fashion.
It's coming down the pipe. We're less than a month. We are. It's the 6th. That game's on the 5th.
NFL Network. I mean, Jesus Christ, good thing they gutted their entire news department, because I'm not going to have to see those montages and everything. I don't sincerely mean that. For everyone who lost their job at NFL Network, we feel for them.
Oh, you've gotten Jake riled up when he's apologizing to the good people who lost their jobs at NFL Network.
Some of them landed. Shout out to my guys, Dan Hansis and Mark Sessler, friend of the podcast. Wound up at Underdog Fantasy with our guy, the Settle Man.
So growing conglomerate.
Yeah, and Bill Belichick. They're Jack and Bill are coworkers now.
They certainly are. So, camp. Preseason. This Friday, we'll get our first little taste. We'll see some rookies. We'll see some younger players. We'll see a little what else we got? What else is roaming around in the Ravens back end there? Younger players. Devin Leary, Emory Jones, Malik Cunningham, Charlie Kolar, someone we haven't mentioned. He'll get his run.
Switched from Bud Heavy to Bud Light, actually.
He certainly did. Shed a couple LBs there. We'll see Malasala Amavai Lual, however the hell you say his name. He'll get some run. I'm sure we'll see some Roger Rosengarten. What else do we got cooking? Trenton Simpson, I'm sure, going to get some reps in. Jalen Armour Davis, Nate Wiggins, little Pepe Williams action.
I think the less we see of Trenton Simpson, the more confident I will be in him. If they're like, hey, we'll run you out there for a series, but like we need you healthy. That would be good.
I can see. I hope he probably will play a little bit in this one, a little more in the next one, and a little more in the one after that, something like that. I'll knock on wood for him. He doesn't strike me as the type to get banged up.
Okay. I hope you're right.
So I think that might be a show.
I think
we'll have a real football game to talk about next time.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. It's an exhibition.
Okay. All right. So is that all we got then for the first pod back in a little while?
That is. I wanted to shout out to the Clipper City studio. If you're looking for a place to go have an in-person fantasy draft, if you want to have a watch party for the Orioles, the Ravens, for whatever the hell it might be, they have an awesome space, 1716 Thames Street. We're going to go record in there. Hopefully next week. Maybe next week we'll pop in there and take a look-see and get settled into there. So feel free to contact them on Instagram if you're interested in renting that space. It's located in historic Fells Point, 1716 Thames Street, right across from the Pendry. My guy Sam has an awesome modular setup. They have an outdoor patio you can use. He's getting a bunch of more stuff there. If you're a podcaster and you want to record a podcast in a studio, he has mics. He's got cameras. He's got all the things you need. He's got a soundboard, whatever you might need to record a podcast in person. You can rent that space out for whatever your little heart desires back there. If you want to do a whiskey tasting, something cool like that, or have a little birthday party, out in Fells, something like that for a private event before you go out, so anything of the sort, have some food. They got some catering options, all kinds of stuff. So contact Sam on Instagram at Clipper City. Check them out. And we'll be recording there throughout the season.
That we shall. Okay. So let's go ahead and get on out of here in the meantime and go watch Albert Suarez start in place of a scratched Grayson Rodriguez. I just got the ESPN push notification telling me Bert Suarez is going to be starting the game. So that's
diarrhea. Grayson has diarrhea, they said.
Great. Yeah, I'm sure they did. So thank you for that. Thank you all for listening. And I hope you enjoyed our first step back in what is going to be a full run here throughout the season. Like Spenny said, we'll have the full preview review thing going by September when the real games start. We're very excited about it. In the meantime, go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube, hit that like button, comment, get that algorithm pumping for us. You can find us on social media at Exit52 Podcast across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. I am at Jake Louque. That's Louque on the X app. Spenny is at Ravens4Dummies. That is the number 4. Still got plenty of Orioles content cranking out as well, keeping up with the regular schedule there. You can find Eric at EDITTI22 talking O's and being sad about the Titans on X. And you can find Brian at Barstool Banks and Taylor at Taylor Smythe 10. Thanks again, guys, and we'll talk to you again next week.
See ya.
Arrivederci.
Really, really hard, and they execute the system, and that's what it's all about.
Yes, sir. Trust.
He's pretty big trust.
Big trust, baby.
Hey, yes, sir.
Right on cue. Hey, right on cue. Hey, let me.